Hello people, happy Sunday. It's Gino here again from Real Everyday English, and I'm back to teach you guys some more English vocabulary through real-time examples. If you're new to the channel, this is your first time here, then welcome to the channel, and I hope you like the way I like to teach. And if you do like the way I like to teach, then make sure you hit the subscribe button below. If you're an existing subscriber and you're back, then welcome back. This is another week's video and I've got another good topic to cover today. But before I get into it, I just want to talk a little bit about what I've done today. Today I competed in a 10-mile race and it was in a town called Lytham, St Anne's, which is close to the coastline near the beach. And the weather here in England is very, very cold and very, very windy at the moment. So it was difficult. It was a difficult race. The sand was blowing off the beach into your eyes as you was running back. So I'm just happy I got through it, and I feel good and I feel pumped right now. I also wanted to touch on a comment that I received on one of my videos, I believe it was this week. And somebody noticed that my account on YouTube is over 4 years old, but I only have a few videos, and that is because I've had a YouTube account for 4.5 years, but I only decided to start creating content in September last year. So that's why. And now I've decided to start making the content. I make the content on a weekly basis. I'm consistent. If you're a subscriber to the channel, you'll already know this, that I'm consistent with my uploads. And while I know that there are other channels that have better technology than me, you know, I'm using my headphones, my microphone is on my headphones, and I'm using my smartphone to record the videos. So my technology isn't the best, but I believe in the method. I believe in real-time examples. I believe that that is how a child learns a language. And I think it's the best way to learn. So without any further ado, let's get into today's topic. Okay, so today's topic is going to be the word screw. Now this is a screw. Can you see? It's a screw. It's like a nail, but it has, can you see these edges? And that will screw into something. So that is what it is physically. That is a screw. We also use the word screw to describe a prison guard. So I don't think they use this in American English. This is only in British English. But we use the word screw to describe the prison guard who works in the prison. But like I said, we only use that in British English. But as you know, that although it means this and also a prison guard, there are many other situations in which we use the word screw, and I'm going to take you through some of them right now. So let's get on with it. Example number 1 for this week is to screw the actual screw into something. So this is a screwdriver. This is a tool, and we call this a screwdriver. And this fits into the end of the screw. And then using this, I can then screw the screw into a piece of wood, or into a piece of plastic, or into a piece of metal if I've previously drilled a hole. So that is to screw into. So that's to screw into. That's the first example. Okie dokie. So this week's second example is to screw something together. To screw together. So using this and using this. So that's the screw and the screwdriver. I can screw something together to make something else. So for example, these cupboards in the kitchen are screwed together. So this piece of wood here is screwed into this piece of wood here, and it holds it together. So that's to screw together. I screwed the boards together. I screwed the pieces of wood together. I screwed the pieces of metal together, etc., etc. And the third example is kind of similar, but it's slightly different. It has a slightly different meaning. So we use the word screw to describe screwed onto, screwed onto. So for example, the cupboard is screwed onto the wall, and that is holding it up in the air where it is. So the cupboard is screwed onto the wall. Okay, number 4 this week is we're going to use a bottle for this example. So you see this top? We would call this a screw-on cap or a screw-on top. And that's because you can unscrew, which is to take it off, and then screw it on nice and tight. So that is a screw on top, and we can unscrew the lid and also screw on the lid. So that's a screw on top. And we can also use this with things like a light bulb. You can screw the light bulb into the fitting and so on and so forth. I hope you understand. Sorry guys, I have another example for number 4, so I want to continue with number 4. See this pen? I can unscrew the pen and then screw it back together. So that's another example for number 4. Thank you. Okay, on to number 5. Number 5 this week is to have a screw loose. We describe people as having a screw loose, and this means that the person is mentally unstable, a little bit crazy, unpredictable. The person has a screw loose, and we would simply say something like, yeah, he's got a screw loose, or she's got a screw loose, or my brother, he's got a screw loose. And it means that the guys or the girl is a little bit crazy. You know, you can't predict what they're going to do next. So that's to have a screw loose. And I think the term comes from kind of, if you imagine when you say screw together, if you imagine that your mind was screwed together, then we would describe someone as having a screw loose because maybe one of the screws is loose or not tight enough and it affects the brain. That's the only kind of reasoning I can think of as to why we say that. But yeah, it's to have a screw loose. So that's number 5. Okay, number 6 is kind of a weird way in which we use the word screw. So if I give you an example, let's say that I was in my car and I was driving through the desert in the middle of nowhere. There's no houses, no telephones, and I ran out of petrol, then I would be screwed. And to say that I'm screwed or we are screwed, it means that we're out of options and we're in serious trouble. So that is, I'm screwed, or he's screwed, or we are screwed. And it's a phrase that we use to describe being in serious trouble or having no other options to solve a problem. So that's we are screwed or I'm screwed. Example number 7 for the week is to screw up. Now, we use screw up in 2 different ways. There's screw up physically. So you see this piece of paper? I'm screwing up, or I screwed up the piece of paper. So that's to screw up physically. We also use this to describe when someone screws up their face, for example, when they're not happy. But screw up can also be used not physically. So to screw up means to mess up, mess something up. So for example, I could go for a job interview and maybe I got one of the questions badly wrong. And then when my friend asked me, how did the interview go? I could say, oh man, I screwed it up. I screwed the interview up. And that is to use it to describe when you mess something up, or it didn't go to plan, or it didn't go as you wanted it to. That is to screw up. So we can use that physically and also in terms of messing up any situation basically. So yeah, that's to screw up. Okay, number 9 is when it is used as an insult. So you'll hear quite often in English someone say to another person, screw you. And what that means is kind of, you know, up yours or something like that. It's an insult. So if somebody says something to you that you don't like, or they do something that's nasty and you don't like it, you could say screw you. And that's what that means. It's an insult. It's a derogatory term. And it's not very nice language, but sometimes it's called for because there's a lot of people who annoy you out there. Numero 9, which I believe again is British English saying. I don't recall ever hearing an American use this. And we use it to describe when someone is sensible by saying, this person has their head screwed on. And it means that the person is sensible, they know what they're doing, they don't act silly, so on and so forth. So that is to have your head screwed on. So I could say, yeah, you don't need to worry about my brother, you know, he's got his head screwed on, he knows what he's doing. So that's to have your head screwed on, and it means that you are sensible. Okay, last but not least for this week is to screw over. And to screw over means when someone cons, lies, or cheats, to put someone else at a disadvantage, basically. And to give you an example, if you was a manager of a football team and the team went out and played a game that they should have won, but the referee was one-sided towards the other team, then you could say to your team something like, yeah, you should have won the game, but unfortunately you got screwed over by the referee. Another example would be if someone charges you too much money when you buy an item, you would describe that as having been screwed over by another person. So yeah, it's not a very nice phrase, especially when you're the one who's been screwed over. Not very nice at all, but that's how we use the word screwed over. It's to describe when someone does something to put you at a disadvantage or to take money away from you or an opportunity away from you. We would say that as being screwed over. And that is it for this week's video, people. There is one more way in which we use the word screw in English, but it's kind of vulgar and it's rude, and I'm not willing to cover that in this topic because obviously I keep these videos very formal and I don't want to lower my standards by going into that. But if you want to find out more about that particular use of the word screw, then you can Google it and I'm sure you'll find it no problem. As always, thank you for watching the video. If you like the video and you like the way I used to teach, then consider subscribing. And that's it, guys. So have a great Sunday and I'll see you people in the next video. Bye bye, much love, see you later.